Welcome to Bet On. I'm Kelly Stewart, joined by Marco D'Angelo and Gianni Corrales, two of my experts over at WagerTalk.com. If you're not giving them a follow on Twitter, you are missing out. At Marco in Vegas, because he likes to copy people, and at Greek_Gambler. You can also catch him on the Contender Series for the UFC. All right, guys, today we are going to be previewing the AFC. If you missed our NFC video, go to YouTube, type in WagerTalk, NFC. You'll be able to find it because there is lots of great information and some gold from VR, some TNA from Ralph, and a whole bunch of futures bets from Marco. Let's get into it, guys. We're going to go to the AFC East. Now, this is an interesting one here, and this is actually a really funny story today. Gianni and I were on a three-way call. Yes, it was a call. That being said, the guy was professing his love for his Miami Dolphins. I thought it was hilarious. He told me that the Dolphins were going to win this championship, and I said, hey, buddy, it is Buffalo's to lose. Now, if you watch the NFC video, we spoke about this. Laying 2-1 is not ideal to win a division, at least not for me, not for VR, and not for Marco. So I am not going to recommend that, but I do think this is the Bills' division to lose. I'm very high on Josh Allen and that Buffalo Bills offense this year. But I did not make a solid play here in this division, so I'm going to give Marco the floor and see what he's come up with for this year.
Well, Kelly, I'm coming with three plays in the division. Two of them are kind of, you might scratch your head with, and the other one makes a ton of sense. I agree with you. You know, Buffalo, it is their division to lose. But I'm going to take a shot with New England at a price, and I'm going to tell you why. We know with Belichick, he is the best coach in the division. There's no question about that. He's made the choice. Cam Newton's gone. This is Mac Jones's team. I'm going to point something out in the schedule that is actually a benefit for New England as far as this division goes for a chance to maybe steal it. Mac Jones is going to have some learning pains. There's no question about it. But look when New England and Buffalo play. They don't meet for the first time until December 6th. They're going to play twice at the end of the season. That's an actual benefit for the New England Patriots. Why? Because Mac Jones then is going to be almost a full season. He is going to be better prepared to beat these Buffalo Bills, have a shot at beating them, I should say, late in the season than early in the season. And I'm going to take a shot. You can get plus 360 to win the division. So you don't have to sprinkle that much to get a nice score. Now, I'm also going to take a look at Buffalo's season win total. They're at 11. As I said, I don't want to be looking at any overs as far as the season win totals other than that one that I took earlier in the show. When you look at Buffalo in 11, the difference with Buffalo coming into this season is last year, they were the darling. They got the job done. They got to the playoffs, and now you naturally expect the next step. But it's one thing to be the hunter. It's a different thing to be the hunted. And we'll see how Buffalo handles that pressure. They also get a tougher schedule with the first place schedule and everything else. And we all know the Buffalo Bills are only going to go as far as Josh Allen takes them. If something happens to Josh Allen and gets hurt, this is a guy that tucks the ball and runs a lot as well. That'll kill a season win total of 11. And if things do fall apart and nobody contends with them, what about at the end of the season if they have everything wrapped up and they can mail in a game or two at the end of the season? I'm going to go ahead and take under 11 wins. Those are my two maybe, questionable calls, but I'm looking for value. The other call, this one's a no-brainer for me, and that's the New York Jets under 6 wins. Where are the Jets going to find 7 wins this year? I'm sorry. I know everybody's in love with Zach Wilson. He's had a great preseason and everything else. Just stop already. Preseason stats mean nothing. Most of the time, they're not even seeing blitzes. I want to see when they're going full speed and they're sending blitz packages at him, how he reads at the NFL level. There are going to be a ton of growing pains for this team. They're going to struggle to score on offense. Their defense is going to wear down simply because there's going to be too many 3-and-outs for this team this season. I talk about it over and over again. when a defense is on the field too long, they're going to wear down. We saw that happen to my Pittsburgh Steelers at the end of last season because they couldn't run the football and they were not staying on for long drives. That's going to be the case with the New York Jets this year. Under 6 wins, that wraps up my future wagers for the AFC East.
I lied. I do have an AFC East bet. It's a player prop. Tua under 3,850.5 yards. Behind that O-line, woo-hoo! It is going to be a long day for Tua. And as Ralph mentioned in the first TNA on the NFC preview, yes, we're going to see some regression from those Miami Dolphins. VR, do you have a bet in the AFC East?
No, I don't, Kelly. I did bet nothing in this division. And I don't want to go on and explain, about how I'm approaching futures this season. We did that when we covered the NFC. Hopefully most are watching that because we shared a lot of good stuff there, even some tennis and soccer. But what I wanted to add is something that you touched on and how you said you love Buffalo to win this division. And you even think that they should get it done without a problem, but the price is what's keeping you away. And that, to me, is the key of realizing that, yes, someone's going to win the game every time. Someone's going to win a fight every time. Like, occasionally there's a push, but there's always an outcome. Team A or Team B, fighter A or fighter B is going to win. But that doesn't necessarily mean there was a good bet to place on every single fight or every single game. Sometimes when you add in the hold, the line was accurate. It was within that, implied win probability of where it should be. And that's when you got to back out. So what Kelly's telling you is, sure, she likes Buffalo. Yes, they're going to get it done. But at minus 200, the break even is 67%. So for her to think it's worth doing, she has to conclude Buffalo wins this division 75% of the time. And even then, she'll only have an 8% edge. Is that 8% worth it for her to tie up that much money to make 8% ROI for 5 months? That's why she's not placing the bet. And I'm not asking you to think like me. I'm just asking you to think. And that's what I'm here to try to help you do, become sharper bettors, because I made every single mistake. I paid so much for this education. I always say, you want to be a lawyer, doctor, you're going to probably come out with student loans. I have the Harvard degree of losing the bookmakers. That much I can promise you. I lost money moving steam, winning information, because I had no concept of money management. I'm willing to admit that. I'm okay with that. So learn from those mistakes and don't make them. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, if you're starting out betting, and even if you're doing it for fun, I'll save you some money. Like, again, you don't have to think like me, but think. Just try to think a little bit. That's all I'm trying to get you to do. And look at those prices, and sometimes better off just to pass. Let it go. Like Kelly said, yeah, sure, they're probably going to get it done, but it's not worth tying up my money for it. So, yeah, nothing to share there, but something coming ahead, I think, in the next one.
Okay, love to hear that. We're going to be moving on to Marco's favorite division. That's right, the AFC North when we come back.
Marco D'Angelo's baseball is hitting 68% since the All-Star break, going 34-16, netting his clients a profit of $5,601, making him the #1 MLB handicapper at WagerTalk since the midpoint of the season. So how would you like to get the rest of Marco's baseball free throughout the World Series? Through Sunday at midnight, if you purchase Marco's college football and NFL combo package, we'll toss you in his baseball selections to the World Series for free of $449 value. To redeem your free Major League Baseball through the World Series, just email support@wagertalk.com after you purchase, and we'll add your access within 24 hours. Football is back, and Gianni the Greek is looking to repeat his legendary football season from last year, where he finished #1 in the NFL, picking up 197% in profit, and #2 in college football, increasing his client bankrolls by 56%. Even more impressive, Ace finished 2020 the #1 overall profit title at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo, where he not only took the crown, but he has never had a losing calendar year at WagerTalk. Right now, you can take $500 off his 1-year all access, locking up all of Gianni's plays for the next 12 months using coupon code ACE500. This coupon code expires Sunday at midnight, so act fast before the $500 discount disappears.
Moving right along to the AFC North. This one's a toughie as well. I kind of went back and forth on my thoughts, but I inevitably bet the Ravens at 14-1 to win the Super Bowl. And then, of course, what happened? J.K. Dobbins got hurt. That's how this works. Kelly has the real curse. Usually it's only in fantasy football team or players, that I draft for my fantasy football team. But this time, the first Super Bowl bet I'd made in almost 5 years loses one of their star players. That's okay. I'm still very high on Lamar Jackson. And I do actually think that this team can make it to the second round of the playoffs. And like VR talks about a lot of times, that's the goal. Now we can start to look at hedge opportunities and guarantee ourselves a profit. Marco, I'm going to save the Pittsburgh Steelers slander for yourself. They lost a ton of guys on the offensive line, but man, Mike Tomlin has just been so awesome. Basically, one of the best defensive coaches in the league. And then we've got the Browns. I should have asked Ralph about his Browns. We should have brought him in so he could hype up his Browns. I like the Browns under 10.5 wins, but I don't think I'm going to get to the window with them. And then the Joe Burrow hype. I'm going to leave that one alone. I lean for the Bengals under, but I'm not touching that one either. I don't know what to make of that team. But Marco, I'll let you have the floor so you can start off with your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, well, I'm going to start off by saying, Kelly, anybody that ever calls me a homer, we're just going to play this next segment on continuous loop, okay? I'm probably going to be barred out of all of my favorite places in Pittsburgh after I do this segment because I'm going to start with, I'm taking the Cleveland Browns plus 125 to win the AFC North. This is their year to win it, and I know you said you're high on Lamar Jackson. Well, I'll say, if you think Lamar Jackson's winning the Super Bowl, you might just be high. I can't back Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry. Until he gets it done, he's a great regular season quarterback, but just too many miscues in the playoffs for me. I'm looking at the Browns, Kelly, and Baker Mayfield, for the first time, has continuity in his life. He has had so many different offensive coordinators. It's tough for a young quarterback to have to keep changing schemes. Doesn't happen this year. They've got everything's in place from last year. They finally have a coach that I like. Stefanski's done a great job, came over from Minnesota, was a disciple of Coach Zimmer, and they're running basically the same type of offense. Good offensive line, utilize the running backs, use the tight ends, and spread the field when necessary. And that's the way you make Baker Mayfield a better quarterback. The defense that's already good gets better because they're going to have more sustained drives on offense with this type of offensive game plan for the Browns. This is their year. There's no excuses. Put up or shut up. The Browns win the AFC North. Now, with that said, Kelly, you know the stat. I don't know how many people actually do, but Mike Tomlin is a great coach, not a great in-game coach. He's great in preparation, great for getting a team ready, but once you get into the game, he just doesn't make the X's and O's and adjustments that I like to see. But he has something that very few people can say. He's never had a losing season as a head coach. He's had some 8-8s, but never a losing season. Well, because of the extra game this year, can't be 8-8. So where'd Vegas put the number at? 8.5 season win totals. And unfortunately, Mike Tomlin's going to have his first losing season as a head coach. And it pains me to say that, but you alluded to it, and it's going to be a big problem early in the season. They've got an offensive line that they've got to learn on the fly. Everybody either retired, traded from the offensive line last year. There's one holdover, and he's going to be playing a different position this year. You lose an all-world center. Now, granted, Pouncey the last couple of years was declining, and last year he was hurt most of the season, but he's still the glue of the offensive line. He's the second quarterback on the field. He's the guy that's yelling out the blocking schemes to the other O-linemen. There's going to be learning pains. You got a rookie running back that everybody loves, Harris from Alabama, but you can't run with no offensive line. It's going to take time. Once they do figure things out and that gels and you think, okay, they're going to make a big run at the end of the season for that 8.5 wins, look at the schedule. My God, from December 5th, listen to what the Steelers have to finish the season. They play Baltimore at home. You know, I know, anybody who follows the AFC North, those are absolute bloodbath games, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And even a little more so because Pittsburgh has a chip on their shoulder from what happened last year, moving that Thanksgiving game from Thanksgiving to the following Wednesday or whatever they did for the Ravens last year. After Baltimore, they go on the road to Minnesota, Coach Zimmer, a team that's generally a playoff team. Then they play Tennessee, a team that's a playoff team. Then they got to go to Kansas City. If it wasn't tough enough to go to Kansas City, Kelly, the mother of all revenge games for the Pittsburgh Steelers is right after that game. They play the Cleveland Browns. And if you saw Ben Roethlisberger on the sideline at the end of that playoff game last year, you know the Pittsburgh Steelers have that game circled on their schedule. And then they finish up in Baltimore. That they could actually, they could go 3-3. They could go 0-6 down the stretch with that murderous schedule. Anywhere in between. I can't play the Steelers over the season win total. It's under 8.5 for me. And, I'm done. I won't be able to go to my favorite chicken wing spots in Pittsburgh, all that. That's what I do for our viewers.
I thought we were going to go to the Lions game in Pittsburgh mid-November. I was really looking forward to those chicken wings. VR, your thoughts on the AFC North?
Well, I actually placed a bet on here. I have a season win total of 4% play. Obviously not 4%. If you're betting 4% of your bankroll on a single play, you're not going to have much at the end of the season anyway. You're going to need this ticket if it cashes. Listen, I know a lot of even sharp bettors arguably expect a slight regression from Cleveland based on, I'm hearing it all the time, they had a negative point differential last year. They're an 11-5 team with a negative point differential last year. They underperformed the betting market last year. They went 6-10 against the spread, even though they were an 11-5 team. They're as phony as they come. Nah, listen, they're not that $3 bill we like to talk about. Not at all. They had one problem. The defensive side of the football. That was it. And they did everything right in the offseason. Now, will it click? Time will tell. And the question marks this year, and we have to pay attention. Now, I'm not going to read off all kind of analytics that other people have printed and try to act smarter than I am. But injuries are going to be so key. Which teams are going to stay healthy. That's what matters. This is the NFL. And they added an extra game. Less preseason, less practicing, less hitting in preseason and in practice. Unfortunately, guys are going to get injured. Key guys are going to get injured. So again, going back to futures, that's where the caution has to come in. We're drawing conclusions before not even a quarter of the seasons happen, and it's drawn conclusions on data and analytics from prior seasons, and trying to predict ahead what they're going to do. And again, if injuries happen, all the prognostication won't matter because they won't be playing. But I love what I see, what they did in the offseason. Everything right. Clowney from the Titans, McKinley from the Falcons. And yeah, I got to look. Again, English was my second language, so I'm not going to act like I memorize everything. Johnson from the Rams. That's where they needed. They needed the secondary, and they even grabbed in the first round a cornerback from Northwestern. Like they're doing everything right to continue taking steps forward after shoring up the offensive side of the ball, which again, in today's NFL, you need that. Like the 85 Bears probably wouldn't go to the Super Bowl in today's era. It's completely different. And I think the Cleveland's doing what it takes to take a step forward. And like Marco said, we're expecting some step backwards from other teams. Didn't do anything with Steelers or anything like that. Marco knows them better than I do. But I can tell you in the groups I work with, a smaller bet, but they went under 11, minus 110 on the Baltimore Ravens. So they're expecting a little regression from Baltimore. That can only help my over on Cleveland. So I went over 10.5. I laid minus 125 even for that privilege. So yeah, I paid admission for that. That's how much I like it, and I'm going to tie up that money again for 5 months. But barring injuries, I think Cleveland takes that next step.
What we've got for VR, something that he brought up about he knows about the point differential. And when he said it, I totally forgot about it, and it rung a bell, and I want to point it out. One of the reasons that Cleveland's point differential last year was off, if you remember, they had 3 home games in a row that were absolutely horrible weather conditions. They had the Raider game, the weather was bad. They had the Philadelphia game and the Houston game. In 2 of those games, they scored 6 and 10 points. There were monsoon rains, crosswinds, and that factored into part of the weather, why they didn't score as many points. So that is a good point that VR brought up, and I wanted to elaborate on why they were on the negative side of some of those point differentials.
I like it even more now, Marco.
Very great point, and I'm very glad I did not get to the window. I know I said a few things about the Cleveland Browns that Twitter didn't like, but I did not get to the window there, and you guys make a really good point. Okay, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, that's right, time for some TNA.
We've rolled back our football prices. WagerTalk's first full year was 2015, and we've lowered our football season packages to match what we charged that football season. Why? It's simple. We want to make our season-long packages an extraordinary value. You can buy a full college football season or full NFL season for only $5.99 each. But if you buy a college football NFL combo from the same handicapper, you pay only $8.99. Looking to mix and match handicappers? We have you covered. Just email support@wagertalk.com for a bundle discount and to create any handicapper combo you can dream of.
And there he is, my favorite guy, Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV, ready to talk some more NFL trends and angles. If you guys missed Ralph's trends and angles for the NFC segment, go ahead, go back to our YouTube channel, rewind, because he dropped some knowledge bombs. Ralph, what else do you have for me?
Kelly, we're going to continue. I have 3 more things I want to break down. You know, often we look at NFL teams and how they progress from one year to the next. And, you know, oh, they got a new quarterback, they're better. Well, you often read publications and everyone always got better. Well, that's not the case. You lose players, you gain players. You look at the statistical profile, I can talk, and then you break it down to what happens. So here's another thing that people don't look at enough that I have historical that is very valuable. It's yards per point. Obviously, the more yards you need per point, the weaker your offense is, because you are having to drive more, better field position, special teams play, defensive touchdowns, all go into that. But when you have a very good offensive yards per point at 14.2 or better, the next season, those teams that have those great numbers drop 72% of the time. Their record falls back. Green Bay, Baltimore, and Tampa Bay were the leaders. They had yards per point of 12.2. My threshold, 14.2. That's how productive those 3 offenses were. New Orleans, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Seattle also fall into the category of having a very good yards per point last year, expecting them to drop down because very few teams have that back-to-back seasons. There's only one team that made my bad offensive yards per point, 17.45 yards per point or higher. That was the New York Jets, and they were horrible. Jets were 19.4 yards per point. So that's going to expect the Jets to go up. A good defensive YPP is 16.3 or better. Those teams that have that number or higher decrease 65% of the time. Seattle, Miami, and Baltimore, expect them to go down. And bad defensive yards per point at 14.6 or lower, those teams increase 71% of the time. San Fran, the Chargers, Detroit, Las Vegas, Dallas, Denver, Minnesota, the Jets, and Jacksonville. And when I combine those two, Kelly, If teams are both in the both good or both in the both bad, Seattle and Baltimore, those teams have historically dropped 84% of the time. The bad team in both categories, the New York Jets, has historically improved 85% of the time. So again, a little bit confusing, but as you get out your chart, you start just paying attention to which teams will improve, which teams will decrease. It'll help you look at what to expect from one NFL team to the next.
Ralph, I'm totally okay with the Jets winning just 6 games. That's perfectly fine. They can improve. I'll be happy for that team. But I hope they don't improve any more than that. It's interesting to hear you say this. I do have a quick question in regards to it. Do you take into account some of the teams that either have a new coordinator, a new quarterback, anything? Because the historical yards may shift. Is that, I'm just kind of curious there. Like, for example, let's use the New Orleans Saints. Now that Drew Brees is gone, you have Jameis Winston.
Great question. But no, this data, just statistical. That's your job as a handicapper, is taking the statistical information and trying to weed out what is relevant, what is irrelevant. I'm just giving you the base numbers, then you can decide for yourself. One other point I want to make, Kelly, is if I say a team like Jacksonville is going to have a better record, well, you're 1-15. No question you're going to have a better record. That doesn't mean you always can make it a bet. Just because I say they're going to increase doesn't mean bet their win total over, doesn't mean they're going to win a division, doesn't mean, they're going to win the Super Bowl. It just means you have to look at each case individually and see how much the Vegas number has improved or decreased from these teams. And talking about improving or decreasing, Kel, the next one is quite simple. When an NFL team makes a huge jump from one year to the next, let's say one year you're 9-7, and the next year you win 12 games. NFL teams that were plus 3 games from one season to the next made that big increase, fall back 80% of the time. You make a big jump, it's hard to make another jump. Again, you fall back 80%. Teams that have 4 or fewer wins, so you went from 10-6 down to 6-10. You dropped 4 wins. Those teams increase by 74%. So again, pretty powerful numbers. Those teams going up. The biggest, no question, San Francisco 2 years ago, 13-3. Last year, 6-10. So that team fell 7 wins in one season. Expect them to jump back. They are, in fact, my favorite to win the NFC a little bit, NFC West, a little bit of a long shot. Other teams going up. New England, the Jets, and Jacksonville all dropped by 5 wins. Philadelphia dropped by 4.5 wins. And then those teams going down because they increased. Miami, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland all jumped up 5 wins. Miami went from 5-11 up to 10-6. So Miami, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Indianapolis, Washington, and Tampa Bay are the teams going down.
All right. Last but not least, what have you dug up for us?
I'm going to make this one simple, and I'm not listing the teams for you. I'm going to make you do some work yourself. Close wins and close losses. We know there's a lot of games decided by field goals on the last minute. We know there's a lot of games that within a touchdown margin in the NFL. If you are +2 close wins, and let me clarify that, +2 close wins means you have 3 close losses and you have 5 close wins. That puts you at +2. So anytime for a season, if you're +2 close wins, you fall back 85% of the time. And if you're -3 close wins or more, that means you won 2 games, but you lost 5 games. So you're -3 net close games. Those teams -3 or more improved 85% of the time. So some numbers that are strong. Certainly, I go through this chart every year when I'm doing my NFL win totals, and I've had great success doing it.
Ralph, I'm filming all day today, so I'm going to need you to text me those teams, and maybe I'll be nice enough and drop them in the comments section for all of those that have taken the time to watch these videos. Ralph, thank you again. When we return, we're going to be talking about the AFC South.
Football is back, and Gianni the Greek is looking to repeat his legendary football season from last year. where he finished number 1 in the NFL, picking up 197% in profit, and number 2 in college football, increasing his client bankrolls by 56%. Even more impressive, Ace finished 2020 the number 1 overall profit title at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo, where he not only took the crown, but he has never had a losing calendar year at WagerTalk. Right now, you can take $500 off his 1-year all access, locking up all of Gianni's plays for the next 12 months using coupon code ACE500. This coupon code expires Sunday at midnight, so act fast before the $500 discount disappears.
Welcome back to Bet On. I'm Kelly Stewart with Marco D'Angelo and Gianni the Greek Corrales. If I haven't mentioned, you guys are not following these guys on Twitter at Marco in Vegas and at Greek_Gambler. Both guys over at WagerTalk.com. Now, moving on to the AFC South, the division outside of one team. I have no idea what the F to do here. You've got Carson Wentz, who gets hurt before the season, and then we hear 5 to 12 weeks. Thank you for that lovely timetable, doctors. Can't wait to make a futures bet on this team without knowing who their starting quarterback is going to be in the middle of October. That being said, I'm pushing that one away. Then you've got the flip side. You've got all the drama in Houston with everything with the allegations in Deshaun Watson. Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Tyrod Taylor? Are they going to bring in Cam Newton? Who knows? Want nothing to do with that team. Then you got Jacksonville and Urban Meyer saying the quiet part out loud, saying why players got cut. Come on. I don't know what to do with any of those teams, but I will tell you the team that I did make a wager on, and that is the Tennessee Titans. You guys listened to some TNA from Ralph. He told you exactly why I'm betting on the Titans. Hey, Marco brought up Adam Gase in the NFC video, and guess what? Adam Gase is a quarterback cancer. We know this. And Ryan Tannehill, he gets away from this guy, and all of a sudden, he's just all-star. Well, Tennessee had a lot of luck on their side last year, and I think that luck is going to see some regression. So even though the AFC South is an absolute dumpster fire, I did take the under 9.5 wins. It was juiced just a little bit. No, I take that back. It was plus money. Had to double check that one. A little bit of plus money, plus 110 over at the Barstool Sportsbook. Marco, tell me your thoughts on this dumpster fire of a division.
Well, Kelly, it is a dumpster fire of a division. And yeah, maybe Tennessee doesn't get to the 9.5, but for me, Kelly, that's still going to be good enough to win the division because it is a dumpster fire. To me, there's only one other team in the division other than the Tennessee Titans, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. And you just rattled off all of the reasons why we can't be excited about them. We don't know what Carson Wentz's situation is going to be, how soon he's going to play, how he's going to play, and if he does play, does he stay healthy? Because the cupboard's pretty bare after that. Maybe they will, Phillip Rivers back out of retirement. But, it's a bad situation in Indianapolis. And if you look at the schedule, their season could be over by week 8. And that's important that I say to start the season because that's where Carson Wentz, even if he gets back quicker than we think, how effective is he going to be? Because he got hurt early on, didn't get the reps he needs with a new team. Look at their season to start. They open up with Seattle and Russell Wilson. Then they got the Rams, everybody's love child this year with Matthew Stafford. Then they have to go on the road and play Tennessee in week 3. Here's a game they can win at Miami. Then they got to go at Baltimore. And did you notice that was 3 straight road games? Then they play Houston. That's a game they can win. They go on the road to San Francisco. We all like San Francisco this season. And then they play Tennessee again in week 8. If they lose both of those games to Tennessee, and even if they split and they don't do well in those other 6 games, this is a team that could be out of the playoff race by week 9 with Tennessee having an insurmountable lead. I can't play anybody else in this division. And you can get Tennessee at minus 115 to win the division. You got a quarterback, you got a running back. Yeah, that defense scares the hell out of you. But what offense in the division scares you to go against them? Jacksonville? No. We don't know who's quarterback in Indianapolis or Houston. I'll go ahead and take the Tennessee Titans, and that is my only play in the AFC South.
All right, VR, tell me you have something on this AFC South division.
No, unfortunately, I don't, Kel. And again, not to waste the viewers' time because don't have a future on it. Don't even have a lean because I go through obviously all the teams with the power rate a little bit, and nothing jumped out from there. But real quickly tonight, Chattanooga and Youngstown State, they should roll. I can tell you multiple groups really confident trying to get in on those teams. Those extra games, it's hard to get money down. I get it. Lines move a lot. But more times than not, their biggest bets tend to crush in those smaller conferences. So, those are two we jumped on. Unfortunately, I can't even share them with subscribers because the lines move too quick, and I don't want them taking the worst of the number. But, for a little action, if you want to have fun, we're on Chattanooga and on Youngstown State tonight also.
A little bit of FCS here instead of, AFC South. And I don't blame you at all. We're going to take a quick commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to follow up with the AFC West.
Why pay regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBucks at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo? WagerBucks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of better. From as low as $90 gets $100, all the way up to $3,500 gets you $5,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBucks. Marco D'Angelo's baseball is hitting 68% since the All-Star break, going 34-16, netting his clients a profit of $5,601, making him the #1 MLB handicapper at WagerTalk since the midpoint of the season. So how would you like to get the rest of Marco's baseball free throughout the World Series? Through Sunday at midnight, if you purchase Marco's college football and NFL combo package, we'll toss you in his baseball selections through the World Series for free of $449 value. To redeem your free Major League Baseball through the World Series, just email support@wagertalk.com after you purchase, and we'll add your access within 24 hours.
And last but not least, the AFC West. Kansas City, big favorites in this division, and rightfully so. Also, they went over their season win total last 6 straight seasons. I'm not betting they're not going to make 7. This is just a team I don't want to step in front of. We all know Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. What I am going to do is do the opposite of what Marco did, and I'm going to toot my team's horn just a little bit. Big Fangio, thank you for not letting Drew Lock, Mr. Interception, 15, Marco, 15 interceptions. I know Jameis had 30, but he had 15 last year, and it was just a dumpster fire to watch. That being said, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the starter in Denver, and that makes me very excited, which is why I bet the season win total over 8.5 wins, plus Von Miller, basically the leader of that defense, is back. They picked up a couple nice guys in free agency. Moving along to the former San Diego Chargers, now the Los Angeles Chargers. I really like Justin Herbert. I did not bet this team season win total over. I looked at it. I considered it. I said, come on, this team's got to win 3 more games because their head coach is an Anthony Lynn. That right there has got to be at least worth a few wins. No more bonehead fourth quarter plays. That being said, I like this team to make the playoffs at even money. Now, for the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm not going to say very much. I don't know what to make of this Raiders team. I'm not high on John Gruden. I'm not high on Derek Carr. Henry Ruggs III, he's going to be great eventually if we can get him a quarterback. Look, this is just not a team that I have spent too much time on. I thought they weren't really worth a bet. I lean towards under 7.5 wins because I am so high on the other 3 teams in the division. Maybe the Raiders go over and cash that easy 7.5 under. Marco, would you have a rebuttal to anything I said? I know that you don't have an official play here in the AFC West.
Well, Kelly, my problem with it is, first, I do agree with you with Denver. Going with Teddy Bridgewater was the right choice over Drew Lock. And when we did the NFC, I talked about Carolina. I think they pulled the plug on Teddy Bridgewater way too quick. He didn't get to learn the system. Now, so what should be different this year? Now he's got to learn another offensive system, 3rd system in 3 years. The difference is he got a full preseason to work through it. And obviously, he looked good. He won the starting job. And to be honest with you, Teddy Bridgewater's won practically everywhere he's been, from the college level, when he came in for Drew Brees for those 5 games a couple years ago. Just didn't get a fair shake in Carolina, lose your stud running back. Now you've got a quarterback. I feel it seems like every year we've got a new quarterback out there. in Denver. But this year, it wasn't our buddy John Elway making the call on the quarterback. He got overridden going with Teddy Bridgewater, and it's football people. And I know it sounds weird. One of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, John Elway, can't pick a quarterback to save his soul for the Denver Broncos. But Teddy Bridgewater is going to be a major improvement. And I think the Broncos have a good shot of sneaking into the playoffs, Kelly, with some luck. Now, the only reason I can't pull the trigger with it is we know how dominant Kansas City is in this division, and Denver would have to enter as a wild card. My concern is the Chargers, yes, are going to be improved, and yes, you're going to see an improvement out of the Raiders this year just because of that spark of the new stadium. And you're saying, but Marco, they had a new stadium last year. It's not new this year. It is new this year because there were no fans in the stands for any of the games last year other than a few friends and family. That is going to be unbelievable scene in Vegas for all of those games. I don't know how much of a home field advantage they'll have because as we saw with the Golden Knights, whenever they first came to Vegas, there's going to be a lot of road teams coming to see their team play when they play the Raiders. What a road trip. Think about it. You can get 3 vacations in one. You come out on a Friday, take the missus to a show, nice dinner, she's happy. Saturday, you go to DGen mode, you're in the sports book, you're gambling all day, you're watching the football games, college football, and then Sunday, you take the honey to the football game. That is the perfect vacation, right, Kelly? And so it's going to hurt the home field advantage.
I think it sounds like a great vacation. I would love to go on vacation and have it be that. Instead, I'm going to go to anywhere but Las Vegas this year. Headed to Dallas this week, Detroit the next. I'm going to Pittsburgh with you in November. I'm going to go to Foxborough. I got to go to Tampa. I got to go to Miami. I spent too much time trying to go to the Allegiant Stadium. They didn't want to have anybody there. VR, your thoughts?
Are you trying to make us feel bad for you?
No.
Right.
Division, the AFC West. Do you agree with anything I had to say? Did you make any bets, or do you have some more gold for us?
I did. I have a 4% play that I released to my subscribers, and that's the Chargers over 9.5 plus 115. Not sure what the line is right now. I really don't have it in front of me, but that's what we betted at. That's what I gave it out at. And again, another team that did something right in the offseason and should take a step forward. You're adding an extra game, and they won 7 games last year. They should take a step forward, and you're giving me plus money. And the steps that they took, obviously, you got went out there and got a new head coach. You needed that. So many bad and indecisions made for that team last year. Then what else? Offensive line. That was the issue. Went out there, grabbed some additions. I understand about the talk of there's good action from Hebert at quarterback. I don't think so. Again, definitely alone. They suffered a lot of injuries. Everyone talks about the defensive side of the ball. There's the offensive side of the ball as well. Again, I think is definitely going to take a step forward from last year. And this offense is the key. Again, grab Jared Cook. That's huge. That's going to help them. And more importantly, the defense, those injuries, that's random. Bosa, having him, that's going to be a huge impact for them. Where last year you saw all those players that went down. So for me, I think there's some value there at plus money. Guys I work with came in on it as well. I had already leaned that, so it confirmed it. Like I said, that's pretty much how I do it. So yeah, 9.5 on the LA Chargers.
Again, me and VR in agreement. I love to see it. Anthony Lynn cost this team 5 wins last year. They lost 5 games by 1 score or less. That is probably my second favorite bet that I made this year outside of the Washington football team to win the NFC East. VR is on the over 9.5, and I am on the yes to make the playoffs. Bring back in the guys. We'll say goodbye, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Thank you to Marco and VR for their incredible insight. Every single Wednesday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, we're going to be here live. We're going to be talking college football. We're going to be talking NFL. We're going to have Steam games, trap games, TNA from Ralph, all of the things you could ever want. Remember, VR wants you guys in those comment sections. We're going to be live, so you guys can live chat with our producers during the show about the games that you like. So we want to hear from you. Get in those comment sections. Tell us how much you love us. Tell us how much you hate us. We don't care. We're going to read them all, as VR likes to say. Again, thank you to all of you for hanging out with us. We'll see you next Wednesday. And until then, let's bet on it.
We've rolled back our football prices. WagerTalk's first full year was 2015, and we've lowered our football season packages to match what we charged that football season. Why? It's simple. We want to make our season-long packages an extraordinary value. You can buy a full college football season or full NFL season for only $5.99 each. But if you buy a college football NFL combo from the same handicapper, you pay only $8.99. Looking to mix and match handicappers? We have you covered. Just email support@wagertalk.com for a bundle discount and to create any handicapper combo you can dream up.